Hey guys, it's me again, the guy who wanted to get 10 frames out of Mamma Mia. I did that, but this time it's not only 10 frames, it's almost 10 rolls of film. My girlfriend and I took a trip to Banff, one of the most famous national parks in North America. With scenery that stunning, I knew I had to bring as much film as possible. For our 6-day trip, I packed 2 rolls of Kodak Gold, 2 rolls of Portra 800, 2 rolls of Tri-X 400, a roll of Portra 160, a roll of Actor 100, a roll of Portra 400, a roll of Pro 400H, and a roll of Fuji Velvia 50. Everything is 100 format except the Fuji RVP. I brought along my trusty Mamiya 7 and the X-Pen. The X-Pen was an interesting choice for this trip because I wanted to capture some panoramic shots of the iconic views like Lake Louise and Marine Lake. But I only managed to capture a few of those. We'll get into that later. So our plan was to fly to Calgary first. It was my first time visiting Calgary, and also my first time experiencing an airport lounge. While my girlfriend enjoyed the brunch, I just kept drinking coffee and juice. Not sure why, maybe I was just too used to hanging out in the departure hall. The lounge made me a little nervous, but I ended up liking it. I'm hoping we can keep up this premium experience on our future trips. Is this an upgraded car? No? Elantra? Alright. After picking up our rental car, we headed to our hotel. Yes. Sunset wasn't until around 9:30 p.m., so I had a good 2 or 3 hours to warm up. Kodak Gold was the perfect choice for that beautiful golden hour.
In 600 meters, use the right lane to take the Alberta 1 west.
We found a spot on Google Maps called Tom Campbell's Hill, which looked like a great place to check out. Before we even made it to the hill, I took the first picture of the trip, a vintage car. Not a bad start, right? The area around the hill was full of vintage cars, which I'm a huge fan of. Tom Campbell's Hill was amazing. You can literally see the entire city from up there. So cute. The place was so peaceful, with lots of people out walking their dogs. I think that's a downtown Calgary. So pretty. The city skyline, bathed in that golden hour sunlight, looked almost like a mirage. It was a magical view. On the way back to our hotel, I wanted to take more photos, but I only managed to get one. I remember waiting about 30 minutes for an old car to drive by, but it was totally worth it. The tones, the vintage car, everything just felt perfect. Later that night, I stumbled across this fascinating vending machine. It had this mechanical arm that was so strong and flexible. It looked like it might break through the machine just to hand me my soda. Oh, that's cool. I know I'm getting a bit off topic, but that machine really caught my attention. Maybe I was just super jet lagged, who knows. Morning, Alberta. The next day we headed to Banff, but first things first, you'll need plenty of water, because Calgary's average humidity is around 20%. Safe on foods. Hi. Enjoying the scenery along the way, folks. I decided to pull over randomly to finish off my Go 200 from the previous day. The midday light was too harsh, definitely not ideal for a Go 200. It's good. But surprisingly, it turned out pretty well. Maybe I just got lucky, or perhaps the medium format Go 200 behaves differently than its 35 format. First row in Banff. Okay. After a short drive, we arrived at the Three Sisters, our first viewpoint of the Banff trip. I switched to Portra 160 for this one. We are heading to Three Sisters. It's not a desert. Which way? The right way, okay. Whoa, Three Sisters! Three Sisters! The scenery wasn't what I expected though. Okay. The Three Sisters were further away than I thought. And in that midday light, they looked a bit washed out. But Portra handled it like a champ. The dynamic range is incredible. Those are my favorite shots of the road. Good job, Portra. Finally, we arrived in Banff. After a quick check-in at our hotel, we headed downtown for a walk. By the way, the official advice for getting around Banff is to take a bus. I went with Go 200 for the evening's light, but the town was packed with visitors, making it tough to get shots I wanted. The photos turned out okay, not exactly impressive, but we did have an amazing Indian dinner. I know this is not a food YouTube channel, but I'd still highly recommend it. Alright, this was the day we'd been waiting for, the most important day in our trip. We were heading to Lake Louise and Marine Lake. We woke up around 5 a.m., had coffee and croissants for breakfast, and then headed downtown to catch the bus to Lake Louise. I loaded the Fuji Velvia 50 into my X-Pen, already imagining the stunning photos I was about to take. It was still chilly outside, but for some reason, I was only wearing a t-shirt. Genius move, right? I must have been stuck in the previous day's mine site when it was 27 degrees. I can't believe I didn't feel cold. Maybe I was just too focused on the lakes, but not the weather. Well, I should have paid more attention to the weather because it was getting worse. It started raining on our way to Lake Louise. The skies kept getting darker. Definitely not what we expected.
Wonderful. Yeah.
By the time we arrived, the rain had gotten even heavier. Some visitors just gave up and went back, but I decided to wait it out.
Oh, this is good. I'm so cold.
After about 2 hours, around 11 a.m., the rain started to light up, so I finally could get out and take a few photos.
Oh my God.
The scenery was phenomenal, especially with that post-rain freshness. But it was still only 9 degrees. I couldn't take the cold in just a t-shirt anymore. So we hopped on the shuttle bus to Marine Lake. Luckily, there was a gift shop at Marine Lake. We headed straight in to buy a jacket. It ended up being my souvenir of this trip. But more importantly, it kept me alive. I loaded a roll of Portra 400. Definitely not the best choice for this cloudy weather, especially with the light changing drastically. I decided to switch to tracks with an orange filter. Black and white was the only thing I could trust in this weather condition. By then, we were tired and hungry. Nothing better than a big meal like this. The sun finally started to peek out. A rough start, but a good ending. That's life. We chose Johnston Canyon as the first spot for that day. You can't avoid Tim Hortons in Canada. Even when you are out looking for a moose. We saw squirrels everywhere, but this time we got pretty close. The canyon was a nice one, but I didn't particularly inspired to take photos. If you love hiking though, I definitely recommend it. We started searching for more hidden spots to take photos. The top of the mountain was my favorite. We found a bunch of cool hotels along the river. I wish I could live there.
What are you using right now?
The X-Pen!
Where is this?
Then I can take a panorama photo. I think that's good.
Yeah.
The mountain right there. How about having some fun with a view of Banff's mountains? I absolutely love Banff. The city is beautiful, and there is an artistic vibe in the air. The beauty of nature is woven throughout the entire place. I'm definitely coming back here again. After checking out, we decided to hang around town for a bit. I loaded up a roll of Portra 800 for our city walk. There were lots of RVs in town. Some of the older models were so cool. This one is so cool. And of course, we couldn't miss taking a photo with the Banff sign. How could you visit Banff without doing that, right? As we walked along the river, we stumbled upon a wedding ceremony. We spent a few moments there, soaking in the happenings. What a lovely city. For the first time, I loaded the Fuji Pro 400H into my Mamiya. And for the first time, I learned that Banff National Park is the sister park to China's Huangshan National Forest Park. This was my very first Pro 400H exposure. I wanted to test out the colors. I found out the red and green are quite unique with this film. It's not oversaturated, but very pop in my opinion. This ended up being one of my favorite photos of the entire trip. The Pro 400H captured the color beautifully. We continued to explore, snapping some street shots along the way.
I like it. I like the car.
As it started getting late, we knew it was time to head back to Calgary. But before that, my girlfriend found a perfect viewing spot, so I could finish my last frame of Pro 400H and Velvia 50. We made it back to Calgary smoothly. That night, we grabbed some burgers at a bar and watched the Olympic Games. This was the last day of our trip, so we kicked off with a traditional American breakfast. I decided to take a break from shooting, no cameras this time, just my girlfriend's point and shoot. We picked up another souvenir during our trip, an Apple TV. We visited the Calgary Library, and the building is a work of art. Of course, I couldn't resist checking out the photography section. I found a book with a big Nikon F on the cover. I assume it was about war photography. My girlfriend snapped a picture of me on the rooftop of an empty parking lot. It was pretty chill with everybody just hanging out along the river. And then I took the last picture of the entire trip. We headed back to Tom Campbell's Hill. You might remember, it was the first place we visited in Calgary. Where we started is where we ended. We stayed there until sunset. Alright, so that is our trip. Thank you so much for sticking around to watch the video. I didn't get a chance to test out the Actor 100 this time, but we'll do that in the future. Alright, be good. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.